Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to teach you how to edit and produce basic gameplay videos, and even show you some tips on how to make comparison videos. I understand that a lot of us enjoy games, but some of us actually like to make content with their games as a hobby. I'm one of those people, but you don't always know how or where to start or what software to use. So I'm going to try and give some tips and show some basic skills on what you would need to do in order to make these types of videos. So first off, you obviously need your base media. So I'm playing Black Myth Wukong right now. I'm actually capturing this right now, and I want to be using this piece of footage in the example. So I'm just going to run around for a few minutes, so let's say capture about 2 minutes of data. And then I'm gonna bring this into the editing software. Things to consider when you're making comparisons as well, because that one's a little bit more advanced, but it's not something that's difficult. It just requires a little bit more planning. So I think this will be enough. I'm gonna stop my recording. So I'm just gonna exit the game. So let's close Steam down. I actually use two softwares. I use DaVinci Resolve, which is a free software, but I mainly use CyberLink PowerDirector and when it comes to comparison videos. So this is my go-to, and I bought the latest version, PowerDirector 2025. And this one is updated. You can do pretty much everything in it. So first thing you want to do is just choose a new project to make sure your aspect ratio is 16:9 if you're making normal widescreen content. You can even make 19:16 content, which is usually used for shorts, so it's quite versatile. So we open it up. We want to make sure a few things are in place. So what you're looking at right now is how I like to have my layout. So this is your media bin. This is where all of the stuff you're using for your video is going to be. Then you have your timeline. So this is where you're going to see pretty much everything on your cutting room floor. I'll explain about that in a bit more detail. And then you have your preview. Your preview is going to show you exactly what your video is looking like so far. So the first thing you want to do is import whatever you wish to include in your video. To do this, you just make sure you click on the folder with the down arrow, so you can just import the media you want. So for me, I'm just going to import that clip I just made of Black Myth Wukong. So you can see I've got 3 files here. I like to have the game with my audio and the game audio all in one. And I like to have my audio, my commentary separate, and then the game audio separate, so I can make changes to the audio levels or audio editing, and gives you tighter control over the content. So you've now added your media to the to your media bin, and whatever you click on will show up on the preview, and you could have a look at it before you then want to drag it to your timeline. So the timeline has what I like to call layers. So layer 1, they come in groups. So you have your video, you have the little camcorder icon, and you have the musical note icon for the sound. You can turn what layers you want to see on and off. Say you want to work on multiple layers at one time, but you didn't want to, or you wanted to work underneath each other, you can literally turn off layers that you don't want to see in real time. So let's drag the audio, video all in one to the timeline. So you can see it's occupied layer 1, and so we've got video on the top layer and audio below. So if I was to play this, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to teach you how to edit, and so you can hear that my audio and video are all together. So the game background sound, my commentary, and video all in one. Now, for me, I want my voice to be a little bit more dominant than the background sound from the game. So in order for me to do that, I highlight the clip, right click, and choose unlink or link or unlink video and audio. So once you do that, audio and video now become separate. You can move them individually. So what I want to do is get rid of this whole audio, and I want to bring in the game audio separately. So this is my commentary, this is the game audio. So I'm going to bring this in. As you can see, it directly matches with the game. And if I was to play this back again, now you don't hear me speaking, but you can hear the game. So now that I've achieved that, I want to make the audio a little bit quieter so my voice can be a bit more dominant. So what you want to do, you see you click on the audio track and there's a line going through, and this is how you control the gain. So right now it's at +00, so it's neutral. You can either go up to make it louder or lower to reduce the audio. I want to bring it down to like negative, say 7. That actually make the game a little bit quieter and make my voice a little bit more dominant. Now, in order for me to add my audio, my commentary, I'll grab my commentary audio file, which is separate. And then I want to put this onto a third layer for audio only. So as you can see, there's a video layer there, but it's not being occupied because I don't need 2 video sources. I only just need a second audio source. So here, if I play the video again, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to teach you how to edit and produce basic. As you can see, I'm a lot louder now. The game is a bit more quieter, and that would make a little bit more sense when you're trying to have yourself heard over the background of a game, and it doesn't interrupt the game's audio itself because it's independent. You can make that game louder or quieter at a later time if you wish. So that's that part done. But generally, when you import a video, you don't kind of want the video just to start just like that. You may not even want the sound to start straight away. You may want it to gradually fade in. So to do that, you just click on the audio or video source. So let's start with video. We're going to click on the video and then double click it. Then you'll get all these options on your left hand side. You want to click the option opacity, fade and blend. Just click fade in and fade out. And as you can see now, it's made a quick edit. Now if you press play, see it gradually fades in. That's how most people back to the want to start their videos. You can also do the same for the sound. So to do it with the audio, just click on the audio source, hold control, and then you want to click a point on the video where you want your sound to fade into. So I've clicked about maybe 3 or 4 seconds in. You then go to the start of the video, hold control and pull down, and then let go of control. You now have a kind of a slope, and it brings the audio to the level you want it to be. So when I play this now, the audio and the video will now fade in together. Welcome back to the channel. So it's a little bit more easier on the ears, easier on the eyes. You don't just want to get hit with loud audio and the image, a bright image straight away. So that's what most people will do. You can do the same again for fading out. Double click, just check the box fade out when you get to the end of the video. I have a 2 PC setup, so my recordings are on 2 different machines. So you can see the audio didn't fade out, but the video did. So you do the same again. You just click on the audio, hold control, click a point, and then you just hold control and click at the very end and pull it down. As you can see, it makes a downward slope. So if we play that again, 2 PC setup, so my recordings are on 2 different machines. So the audio just fades out, and it's a little bit more comfortable on the ears and on the eyes as well, and that's how most people like to finish things. But that's pretty much how you edit audio and video and on separate tracks. It's pretty simple on CyberLink. And if you want to do a bit more advanced stuff like a side-by-side comparison video where you have one source on one side and one source on the other side all in the same video, then you do need to take some extra steps. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. Obviously, step 1 is to actually get that data. So I will show you how I would do it. So let's just not even save this project because we don't need it anymore. So I'll load up Black Myth Wukong again. So we're back in Black Myth Wukong. So let's say I wanted to make a comparison video showing the game using cinematic settings versus like very low settings. And we wanted the cinematic settings on the right and then the very low settings on the left to show how good the game can look. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is go to settings and make sure my resolution is what I want it to be, and that's 3840 by 2160. That's fine. But I want to make sure that the game looks pretty basic. So we're going to use low detail graphics, but we're going to keep, we're also going to put ray tracing down to low as well. We'll keep half tracing on, but we just will have it at its lowest quality. So I'm going to apply that. And now we're going to capture this data in a CAN benchmark, because this game has that option. But what you want to do is think about the positioning of, if you wanted to capture statistics, for example, I have Nvidia's apps, on-screen displays, captures, whatever you want, because it's got loads of fields of data you can plug in. I want this now to be in the middle of the screen, because I need to think about having data on both sides. So having my on-screen display on the far left wouldn't really serve my needs. So I'll just go into statistics and click the gear icon when it says configure heads up display. And I can now say I want the statistics overlay to be in the upper center. So now when I hit this benchmark, it's going to be captured in the middle of the screen, and that's going to help me when I do my side-by-side comparison. So this is what I mentioned, you need a little bit more planning. Okay, so I'm just going to capture this footage and then do the same again with cinematic settings. So the advantage of putting the on-screen display the center of the screen is that when you are doing a side-by-side comparison, you've got like a central point for the viewer to focus on, rather than just a corner of the screen where a lot of the stuff going on is not that important. And you also want like a symmetrical video, so you want both things on both sides to be from the same viewpoint, so that's important. But this is what basically I'm capturing. It's kind of interesting to see Black Myth Wukong with full ray tracing, but at the very lowest preset. I've never seen the game look like this before. I'm going to forward this for the interest of time, and then I'll come to you at the very end where you'll see the result. And that's important because that's where another kind of instruction into cropping is going to be used, on how to display results, as things won't line up the way you want without some effort. So at this point I remove my on-screen display because it's no longer required, and I have my my score. As you can see, this is with cinematic settings, cinematic ray tracing and DLSS quality, basically the same settings, just with, rather than very low, just cinematic, and you can see I scored 59 FPS on the average. So I'm going to show you how to put these two videos together now as a side-by-side comparison to show off as a before and after type of video scenario. Alright guys, so let's open up CyberLink 2025 once more. Brand new project. First thing you want to do is import the media that we just made, so the cinematic and low benchmark capture. I'm going to start with low, just so we don't, let's just say we don't want to mistake anything for being incorrect. So if I import these media sources one by one, it just makes sure I don't make any mistakes. So what I'm going to do is put in the low settings capture, and I'm going to do something here that makes sure that your video is always lined up correctly. So as you can see here, you can see the screen's split up into half and then 4 sections. The way to do that is you go to settings, you just click the cog icon on the far right, go to display, and then you click under grid lines 2 by 2, and that also makes sure that all your videos are always lined up correctly. There's no more on the left hand side, or there's not more on the right hand side that makes your video uneven. If you want to say you want to do a video with 3 videos in one, you can click 3 by 3 or 4 by 4, etc. It just helps you keep things all nice and level. Now what I'm going to do is create myself a starting point. So what I want to do essentially is exactly when the benchmark rock starts. For me, it would be exactly when you go past that initial rock. About here, you can right click and you can split. Then you can right click and remove this and say fill gap. It will move everything to the start of the video. You also want to move this media to the left hand side because you're going to have two pieces of media on the same timeline. So now that we've moved it to the left hand side, you can see that the OSD is not being visible correctly. What you want to do is reposition this by using crop. So if you click the crop icon, you can see the default X position and the default Y position is 500. On the left hand side, to get the exact center of the screen, just half 500 and that goes down to 250. And that gives you a precise middle of the screen. So as you can see, the OSD is nice and centered now. So now we're going to bring on the second media file, which is the cinematic settings. And that's basically the same run, but with different settings. So again, we just drag the media down. You don't want to put it underneath here. The reason being, anything under layer 2 will overwrite layer 1. So the only way you're going to see layer 2 is to basically hide layer 1. But that's not an ideal way of working. I would put it on layer 1 to begin with, away from your initial other media source. And what I would do is do your starting point like you did before. So as soon as you go past that rock, out here, so you want to right click, you want to split, but this time when you remove this, you don't want to fill the gap, you just want to leave the gap. You want to make sure this stays where it is. Now you want to move this to the right hand side. As you can see, the grid lines go purple. That means you've got to the snap point, and purple means it's perfectly even, so we know that's perfectly fine. And now, as you can see, the OSD is not in the middle. So you click on the media source again, click on crop. And rather than going down from 500 to 250, you want to add an additional 250 because you're on the right hand side and the axis needs to shift more to the right. So you highlight 500 and put 750 this time. Hit OK, and you can see the OSD is perfectly centered now. Now you want to drag that source and put it right underneath layer 1. So when you now have a look at your timeline, you can see that both sources are now side by side. Now there's another problem now. It's not necessarily, even though both images are split even, it could be presented a little bit better. So as I mentioned before, layer 2 always overwrites layer 1. So you want to click on layer 2, which is the cinematic settings video. Then you want to double click it, and it brings up all these options. On the left, you want to click border. So for this situation here, you click border, and then you check the box that says border, and then you have control of the thickness. I usually choose 1, and then you can choose the color of the border. I usually choose black. So now we've got this comparison separated by a black line in the middle, the same viewpoint, so that's important. Makes things look a little bit more clean. So that is pretty much it. You've now made a cinematic and low settings comparison, but you want to label this so your viewers can know exactly what you're actually doing. And to do labels is pretty easy. Just click titles and then click plain text. Hold it and drag it down, put it below on a third layer. If there's no layer there, it will just be created by you moving the mouse in that position. So first things first, you double click the text and then you get your media bin disappears. You get an options for all your text. So first of all, I'm going to change the font. Let's go with Impact. And then I'm happy with that. So now I want to change this to low. And now I want to move that into the corner. So now you guys know that this is low settings. Now you can just copy this paste it and just move it away a little bit from what you're doing. Double click this, change this from low and call it maybe cinematic or cine. So you know the difference. And of course, now that you've renamed it, you want to put it on the right hand side. You want to put that over there. And now you want to drag this on a layer below the previous one. And it just creates a new layer. So now when you look at this, you now have two labeled sides of the video: low settings, cinematic settings, and there's a border in between. So that's basically how you do that. You can make sure that these two things fade in and fade out independently if you wish. Really easy, but that's advanced settings and tips. I'll do that maybe in a future video, possibly. But what we also want to do is make sure that the results of this benchmark is viewable in a way that actually makes sense. As you can see, your initial crop doesn't work for when the results show up. So what you want to do is you want to cut here before the results show up. So split on both layers. So let's say we want to do the low settings. Let's just move it away so we're not kind of getting overwritten by the layer 2. So we click this, and as we can see is that you can see the screen on half the side, but you can't see the actual score. So what you do is click the crop button again, and you just hold the axis. Make sure you make the video is actually showing what you want it to see. And then make sure you move the axis over to what you want to be shown in that view. So for me, that will be about okay. As you can see, it says Wukong 106 FPS average, 91 minimum. And this is all on low settings. So that's fine. I've done my low settings now. Now I want to do my cinematic settings. So you click the media, you click the crop button again, and you just make sure you can see what you want to edit, of course. I move this over to the left. A little bit more space because there's going to be a border in between, so a bit more generous on the right hand side. And as you can see 59 FPS average for cinematic settings at the DLSS quality preset with path tracing. Now I bring that back, and as you can see, that's perfectly lined up. The problem is now is that black border isn't that effective anymore when showing the results. So we want to change the color of the border. So you click on the layer 2, which is always overwrite layer 1. So you don't want to put borders on layer 1. You always want to put your border on layer 2, or the lowest layer if you have more than one layer. So you double click that, click border, just turn it from black to white or gray, whatever you want. I want to put it as a gray. So now you can see the separation between these two bits of information is a lot more clear, because a black border doesn't quite work on a black background. So you can see as well, I've slightly messed up the placing of my first one. So if you double click that, you can tell that it's not the positioning of the video, it's the crop that's incorrect. So if I go back to the crop and make sure that I bring it down a little bit, and you see that purple line, that means it's snapped in place. We now look at that, it's perfectly lined up. So that was just a slight error there by me, but you can easily identify and fix that. And now I just want both of these to fade in and fade out. You just double click the independent audio and video sources, make sure they're fading and fade out. And you do the same with the video at the start as well. So you just double click that, fade in. You don't need a fade out for this one because the video naturally fades. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to build this now, or export it. What you do as well, you don't want this to go to the very end because it's just going to be a black screen with white font. It's going to look a little silly. So that is pretty much it. Hopefully that's helped any of you guys that wanted to know how to do, or the concept of doing a side-by-side comparison. Exporting this is just basically producing it. You choose whatever settings you want. I usually go with H.265 at say about 200 megabytes per second because I've got amazing bandwidth. But if you've got lower internet speeds, then you may want to go with something like 8 megabytes per second or 60 megabytes per second just to make sure the file isn't too big. And that's pretty much it for me, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to play back this actual comparison at the end for you guys to watch the final results. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.